Color Me Dead podcast is true crime. And with true crime, there are going to be some themes and material and language used that might not be suitable for everybody. So, listening discretion is advised.
Yeah, we're definitely not going to take out any part of the details or anything like that because we feel it kind of takes away from the cases that we're covering. So this is why we're kind of giving everybody a little bit of a disclaimer. This is your get out of jail free card. Use it now.
Right, because we have a tendency to use a lot of dark humor, a lot of foul language, a total disregard for political correctness.
Yes.
So just be aware that, this might not be for you.
Yeah, and we'll probably crack off some terrible jokes, but it's the only way to kind of handle some cases is sometimes you have to say something funny or shocking in the opposite way to kind of like tone
offset
down
it. Yeah. I'm just saying, I realize that our dark humor is an unhealthy coping mechanism, and I don't care. I support it.
Yes.
You clearly co-sign it because you hang out with me.
Yeah, well, I'm just as bad. We're in the same pool together.
So thank you guys for tuning in. We hope you enjoy.
Yes.
Tra-la-la-la-la.
Now I'm going to move this like
this. That sounds like we're getting ready to, sacrifice a lamb.
Well, I got some free time today. Shit.
I ain't got no job. I got shit to do.
Right? Just put the kids in a cage.
I know. Dude, take them outside. Give them a goldfish and a yoo-hoo. Welcome back to Color Me Dead.
Yes. Episode 7.
Are we on 7?
Yeah, dude.
Already?
I know.
Damn.
8 if you count our weird intro where we talked about ourselves for a minute.
Oh, that's right. I forgot we did that.
I know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So,
before we jump into it, though, we did some things this week. We changed our logo.
We did change our logo, so thank you very much to Jitney Bird, who actually is the grand prize winner of our logo contest, and she did a phenomenal job.
And she is awesome. I've actually known her my whole life, and so it was really cool that her design ended up being the one that we chose, because it's really well done. She definitely has a talent.
It was really difficult to pick a winner.
It really was. Really, really hard, because we liked everybody's.
Yeah, pretty much everything that came through, I was like, yeah, that one.
Oh, wait, that one.
Yeah, that one. So, also, thanks very much to Derek Ryan Phillips.
Yes, love you. He made our one that is our background where the guy is shooting the other guy, and what's blowing out is color.
Rainbow brains coming out.
Yeah, but iTunes said no, so...
Because they're a bunch of twats. Sensitive little cunts. God.
Right now, iTunes is going to be like, oh, we're not playing this episode.
Fuck you guys.
Fuck you. But
oh, you want to call names?
Here we go. Just delete your whole shit. Please don't, iTunes. We love you.
Right?
Also, Hannah...
I'm unsubscribing to my iTunes radio, and you won't get $15 a month from me ever again.
Ever. Hannah Levette, she did a really good job. She was the one that did the one with the tombstones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and a couple of other ones. And then Katie... Oh, honey, forgive me.
We're about to butcher your last name, and we apologize.
Winia?
Winia?
Oh.
Winia. I don't... Thanks, Katie, for all you do.
Get on and make fun of us.
Could you... We just bushified your last name for you.
We sure did. And then Jessica Hatlin. Those were the ones that all submitted. I also had my friend Kim. She submitted one, but she's like, oh, crap, I know it's late, and you probably can't use it because it depicted violence. I'll have to show it to you. But yeah,
I didn't see that one.
She sent it to me last night.
Oh.
At like midnight, and then we were bullshitting about stupid stuff, and I actually just barely remembered about it.
Well,
bye.
Oh, wow. But also, guys, we also have some shout-outs.
Yeah, for our reviews.
Yeah, Rhett Harris, Mandy Judd, Amanda Daggett, thank you guys very much for our 5-star review.
Yes, Amelia Hatch-Lewis, Maria...
Bird.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Joanna Melton...
Hemphill.
Thank you. My husband, Quinn.
Quinderman.
Yep.
Emily Allen, Kai Rasmussen, and Melanie Gudmanson, thank you guys also.
Yes. Megan Budd, Kyla Bruce, she's a little murder freak too, and I love it. Oh, Shelby Massey, also my cousin. Then we have our dear friend Lindsay. who has helped us since the beginning.
Ashley, Gober, Angel Collins, Bill Allen, Jessica Collins, thank you guys very, very much.
Yep. And then Jason Webb, Jonathan Lewandowski, and Samantha Wheeler.
So thank you guys very much for taking the time to do that, because the more you guys rate and review us on iTunes, the more likely we are to be new and noted.
Right. And so all of your guys' names are definitely being entered in for our drawing, along with everybody that did our logo art too.
Yes.
So, and that's still going until the end of June. We'll probably, pull names out in July. Do you know what I was thinking that we should do? Is we should do like a live video of us pulling the names out. But you know those 3-second eyebrow stamps? Yes. We should get them and stamp them on so we just look absolutely ridiculous and try to be serious.
Oh my god. Should we let the kids do our makeup?
Yes.
And then try to do a Facebook Live where we do bingo drawing?
Yeah. I think that would be
perfect.
I think that would be hilarious.
I am in.
All right.
So West Mesa Body Pit is part of the Color Me Dead lineup of Unsolved Mysteries.
Yes.
And this one's one of my favorites because it's so fucking weird.
It is. There's a lot of twists, a lot of turns, a lot of times where you're left just going, what
the fuck?
The fuck? And I have a love-hate with Unsolved. I love them.
I know, but I can't tolerate, my brain needs closure. When my spark plugs start fucking misfiring because there's so much information.
Right.
And then I'm laying in bed late at night when I should be, sleeping and getting ready, rested for work and shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love them because then I get to sit down like a little armchair detective and throw in my fucking 2 cents I'm going to be able to solve this bitch.
Motherfucker, I've watched enough NCIS. I could probably solve some shit.
Right? If anything, I can be there for just the bad punchlines.
Right?
But then I hate them because I need closure and I want to find out who did it. And it pisses me off. So
I struggle with Unsolved Mysteries.
There's some people that won't even listen to Unsolved ones. They're like, fuck that noise.
I know.
Which I get that. So if you're one of those...
you're not going to enjoy this episode as much, but we encourage you to listen to it anyway, because we're fucking rad.
Right. Alrighty.
Alright. So, roughly what, 2009-ish?
Yep.
So a lady's walking her pooch.
Yep.
And locates a bone.
Yeah. Just sees a bone sticking out. And so she's like, the fuck is this? So she pulls out her phone, she takes a picture of it, and she actually sent it to her sister, who's a nurse. She's like, what kind of bone is this?
And her sister's like, it's fucking femur.
It's a fucking human. You better call 911.
Mayday. Right? Alarm.
You just found some shit. So
fucking unearthed dead people.
And I'm sure the dog was like, what the fuck, man? I want to chew on that shit.
I did all the work of finding this, and I can take away my prize.
I led you here. Don't even get anything.
I hope he got something when he got home. A greenie.
Right.
Bone.
Anyways, so then after she calls the cops show up, and that's when they start
kind of combing this little, it's not little, it's 90-something acres.
Yeah. They start combing out, and they start finding one body after another. And it ends up to where there's 11 bodies.
Dude, and it's like fucking Oprah in this body pit. You get a dead body. You get a dead body.
Everybody
gets a dead body today.
So they actually end up finding 11 bodies and then a fetus.
A fetus.
Mm-hmm. And so then they're like, holy shit, what has been going on? They all go missing between 2001 and 2005. They ended up pulling up satellite imagery to see if they could tell when things started getting disturbed.
That would have been really fun though. Mm-hmm. To see that. But didn't they find on that satellite some tire tracks that went from the pit to somebody's
Yeah, to one of the potential suspects. They actually saw that in a satellite image, I think in 2006. But when they started noticing disruption in the soil and everything that was between 2003 and 2005. And it's too bad that they never caught a satellite image of a person actually Dude,
Google Earth found you naked on your trampoline, but they can't fucking find out.
And it's still there.
I just want you guys to know that Google Earth caught Ember sprawled out, naked on her trampoline sunbathing.
Like a naked albino starfish.
It's still there.
I know. It makes me sad.
Oh, God.
I actually found out that it was still there because the fire that was by our house on Friday, one of our friends from Colorado, he's like, I was trying to look up the satellite imagery to see how close it was. And by the way, your naked starfish picture is still there.
You really should contact them and be like, yo.
Hey.
I need you to do something with this. At least put little black strips over the important parts.
Right. Give me a tan. Can you Photoshop that shit for me?
Oh, man.
Oh, goodness. Anyways.
But we'll get into the tire tracks and what's on the suspect later, but just keep that in mind.
Yes.
Which, to me, just seems a little bit fucking bananas because, for real, like, they can find you naked on a trampoline, but they couldn't
get one image
of somebody going out there and
burying a body.
Burying people?
For, 3 years. There wasn't one image.
Not one?
Not even one? Yeah. Or maybe there was, but they just chose not to release those ones.
Maybe.
Who knows? Anyways, around 2006 is when that area was actually, sectioned off for,
Do you know what that property was? Was it,
It was supposed to be residential houses, I think.
So was it privately owned? It would have had to have been by, a company or something. Okay.
I think so. And there was that, natural, what the fuck is it called? Arroyo, Mapa.
Arroyo?
Yeah.
I love ya. Yeah, Arroyo.
Yeah. So there was a natural one there. So when they sectioned off the stuff for residential land, they ended up bulldozing that down. And that would actually make problems because then when the rainfall came, it didn't have a spot for it to go.
No, and you essentially just created a basin to catch it all.
Yeah. So then they made this little wall and where the water would come and pool up. And that's actually because of that, though, is why bones started
oh, no shit.
Yeah. Coming up. But in 2008, that's when the housing bubble collapsed, and so they sectioned out all this shit, and then they
scrapped the fucking project and walked away from it.
Yeah, so no houses were built on top of it, which, I mean, is good, because if not, these bodies...
found these... Ooh, it'd have been fucking some poltergeist shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Having your house on top of a bunch of dead bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Creepy.
Ugh. Except my house probably is on top of some dead bodies.
Probably. You probably have something down in your basement.
Oh, don't say things like that.
I'm sorry.
Dickhead.
I know. Sorry. Anyways, so the police would end up uncovering those 11 bodies, and they were all between 15 and 32. And they all were Hispanic, except for one, and they all looked very similar. They all looked like they could be cousins, you know. Yeah. So the person had a very, very specific
he
type.
liked petite Latinas.
Mm-hmm. Big hair, beautiful. They were all very, very,
very pretty girls.
Yeah. So we're going to get now into the victims.
So after they uncover all 11 of these bodies and they start identifying these victims, one thing
that we didn't mention... Sorry, I was right in the middle of a burp and you looked at me and I was like, not now!
I can't help you! So all of these girls were sex workers.
Mm-hmm. Except for one. There was only one.
Jamie Barella was 15 and she was the cousin.
Yeah.
Okay. And she was a cousin to Evelyn, who we'll talk about later. And she had no
record.
No known record at all.
And she was just her cousin came over and she's like, hey, let's go to the park, let's hang out or whatever. And the girl actually, she left her curling iron or whatever still plugged in. It wasn't on, but still plugged in, because she was like, I'm going to be back here in 20 minutes. And then they were never seen again. And so she just so happened to be with her cousin
when her cousin got taken and wrong place, wrong time, you think?
Yep. Yep. And so that was in 2004. Jamie's body was actually the last one to be discovered when they were digging them all up. Hers was the last one. So it just sucks. I mean, 15.
Fuck, dude.
You're just a baby.
Wee baby love.
Wee little babies.
That sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was Monica Candelaria. Mm-hmm. She was 21, and she actually went missing in 2003?
Yes.
Okay.
And she was the one that actually was telling her friends that there was a dirty cop that was chopping off heads and putting them in the West Mesa.
Oh, shit. And then she went missing.
And then, enter in 2009.
Well, that's not suspect.
Right? 6 years later, boom, it finds out that she was right. And so it was crazy for all of her friends and everything like that. She was known for being a sex worker, having gang ties, and everything like that.
Being kind of a rough around the edges girl.
Right, but she was still one of those that she loved to laugh, joke, take care of babies, spend time with her family. And
and even the most,
excuse me.
Even the most rough people still have people that love them. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, and they're still a person.
Oh, yeah. Like when I was younger, I got into some shit as a youngster, and even though I was doing things,
right,
drugs and alcohol, God,
that's like
rite of passage. I know, but even like my family, even when I was getting in trouble and stuff, they still cared. They wanted to know where I was. They wanted to make sure I was okay.
Right, and your profession. I don't care if you are a sex worker. I don't care if you do drugs or whatever like that. You're still a person, and you're
people
still
love you.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter, I think a lot of people, it's that thing, again, where a lot of people like to paint them a certain way so they don't have to see them, as a real person.
They did drugs, and they didn't have jobs, and they got into trouble, and they were running with
sold their bodies.
They sold their bodies. They were running with a bad crowd. Fuck them.
Yeah. So then they view them as, less than, a fucking rat or something. They're like, they're
less
not
important.
Yeah, which is bullshit. Anyways.
Dickheads. So Victoria I'm going to say it. Chavez.
Yep.
26, and she was reported missing in 2005 after her mom had not heard from her for a year. Yeah. Could you even fucking imagine that? Could you?
No. Can't.
Not talking to your kid for a fucking year?
Yeah. That is just...
Because my mom doesn't always remember when I talk to her, but...
Well, that's different.
You know what I mean? Not talking to your kid for a year?
Why would you wait a year before you're like, hey... So my daughter's missing.
Maybe I don't know, did her mom, live out of the country, or did her mom, live in I don't know. It just seems to me like a year is a real fucking long time.
It is.
She was also known for, drugs and sex work and everything else as well.
Yeah, and her body was actually the first one to be found. So you have 2 that went missing in 2004, one that went missing in 2003, hers that went missing in 2005, and hers was the first one that they uncovered. And I think it's just because it just so happened to be right where they were digging. Because they were all placed in, different
Well, and if that
areas.
water is running into that, you have no idea how sloppy that soil and that earth can get. So, but then did those bodies move? Did they shift? Did they...
Well, and I'm assuming that they did, and some probably got buried deeper once they leveled everything out for the residential homes that never got built. And so that kind of shifted
and it could, because if you're disturbing that kind of a crime scene, you could have fucking moved things.
Yeah, you could have buried one that was only 3 feet deep and buried it 9 feet deep.
Right.
So, anyways, Virginia Cloven this one's kind of long because I was reading it in the journal for the West Mesa victims. There was a journal about it, and it was just too long, so I was like, I'll just read it word for word. But she started out as a very, very good kid. And she, I can relate to her a lot because she was that kid that she would lie and tell a joke, but then feel guilty and come back 2 minutes later and be like, I lied, I'm sorry.
Fuck it, I was telling myself.
Right. However, when she was in high school, her brother was shot and killed in a homicide. And then it would later be ruled that homicide was self-defense. So I don't know if,
we don't have any other details on that?
Maybe that her brother had attacked somebody and then... You never know. It could have been gang related or anything like that. I tried to find more information on it and I just couldn't find anything. And then after that, she ran away from home a week after that had happened when she was 17. And then her other brother ran away too. And her dad, Robert Cloven, had said they just couldn't stand it anymore.
What does that even mean?
I think just the pain of being in the same house where sharing memories of your brother who's no longer there type of thing. I can get that. She lived with her grandfather in Albuquerque for a little while, and then she moved in with a boyfriend. And then her boyfriend got hit by a car, went into a coma.
Jesus.
Yeah. Just a series of, super bad things is what led her down the path that she ended up going down.
Well, you would want to numb that pain, dude. I could understand where you'd start.
Yeah. And then after her boyfriend got hit by the car and was in a coma, she lost the home that they were living in, and she was living on the streets. One year, she called her dad up asking what he wanted for his birthday, and he wanted her to clear up her citations and that they were supposed to meet in Albuquerque. He's basically like, I want you to, clean up anything that you have going on, charges, come home, blah, 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 blah. And he said, we went to go and meet her on my birthday after court, and she had said, come to Grandpa's, but then she wasn't there. After that, she just vanished. Her parents, her dad and his wife, searched high and low for her, and they taped pictures of her on the cab of their truck and drove through, the seedier,
sketchier parts of town, trying to see if they could find her.
Yep.
Well, that's fucking sad.
I know. The last that they had heard from her was in June of 2004, and she had called to say that she had a new boyfriend who had just gotten out of prison, and she was going to marry him.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And then they said, we would like to meet him, but they never got a chance. Robert reported his daughter missing 4 months later in October of 2004, and she was 23. So she's still young.
Oh, yeah. When I think of 23,
And then he never expected the detectives to show up in 2009 and tell him that the daughter...
after you haven't heard from your kid and you haven't found her and you've been searching, and then they show up on your door and they're like, oh.
Yeah, because in the back of his head...
She was still there. She was still alive.
Yeah, they were hoping.
Oh.
He doesn't celebrate holidays anymore, and he sleeps in the living room instead of the bedrooms where his kids would have been. He can't even go back into that, part of the house.
I would sell that house and go get a fucking condo or something.
Right, because now he's lost 2 kids.
I would just be like, fuck it. I'd be done. There should actually be, we should petition for, homeowners insurance.
Yeah.
To declare that some kind of, emotional fucking disaster.
Right. It would be so hard to stay in the same home, in my opinion. Some people prefer that. They would rather be there. I
wouldn't want to.
Yeah. So, had those things never happened to her, she probably would have never turned to sex working. But when she lost her house,
well, what was she going to do? Where she's going to go?
Yeah.
And she probably had, shared income. You know what I'm saying? And when her boyfriend went into that coma, clearly she wasn't making enough money to
make ends
stick
meet.
It. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really sad because a lot of these cases are sad, especially our next one, which was Selina Edwards.
Oh, she was that little 15-year-old that doesn't fit the profile. She was black.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And the last anybody had saw from her, she was actually on Colfax in Denver. And I've been on Colfax 1,000 times.
Wasn't she from Oklahoma?
Yeah.
What the fuck was she doing all the way in Arizona?
She basically ran away from a home because, she never knew her dad. Her mom, I think, gave her up after when she was 5. And so
so she already knew her mom and was bonded with her, and her mom decided to give her up. Oh, good.
And so she was put into this home, and she ran away, and she hitchhiked. And she was last seen in Denver in 2004, and she...
So she didn't have any family. She didn't have...
Nothing.
Oh, so she's the fucking lost boy.
Yeah, she started turning onto the streets at 9, selling her body. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Dude.
When I was researching this one, I was like, oh, because you have a niece, I have a niece, all around that same age, and to think of that person,
B's 10.
Yeah.
And if I could,
thinking of that they don't have anybody.
No, and that somebody would be touching her that way so that she could feed herself.
Yeah.
God damn, dude.
Yeah. And,
Cinnamon Elks.
Yeah. Yep.
She's the one.
She was the oldest one, too.
Yeah. She's the one. I love her name, dude.
I know. She owns it.
Cinnamon Elks.
I think it's awesome. But she was reported missing in 2004. She was known.
She was heavy, though.
Yeah, into sex working.
Around that area. Everybody knew. How could you fucking not with a name like Cinnamon Elks?
Right? She got arrested over 20 times.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
But she didn't check in with her mama either.
Yeah, and that's when her mom reported. And she was actually friends with 3 other victims. The next 3 victims that were about to list off. And so yeah, so I don't know if they just hit targeted
well, they had to have targeted. Clearly, there was a they were sex workers. They had a certain look to them.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if, the person that did this, I don't want to say he, because
we don't know.
We don't fucking know. But if they met all of them through, one or the other.
Right.
And were perfect. There's my next 3.
Yep. That's my guess.
Because Dorian Marquez would be our next one. She was 27.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a good kid, too. She was, cheerleader, always did her hair and nails, was, took care of herself.
Yeah, she had only started into being a sex worker, her last year of being alive. So she started at, 26 after her boyfriend or husband, boyfriend.
Went to jail.
Yep. And that was it. She lost her help of income.
So she started doing drugs and sex work, and she had kids.
Yeah, she had 2 girls.
Lost her kids.
Mm-hmm. Well, the sisters started taking care of, and it just happened in just the last years. And she was reported in 2003. And then Julie Nieto, I think. Nieto mosquito. She was 24, and she was
Toledo.
She was the mother of 1 son. She was always known to be a great mom. She was actually really, really small. Her mom talks about when she brought her home from the hospital. She had to special sew clothes together for her.
You know what's funny is I had a cousin that was born preemie. Mm-hmm. And they used Build-A-Bear clothes for him for a long time.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh, goodness.
So she was teeny
little
girl. So, what, 18, 19?
Yeah, is when
she started?
Doing, drugs and different things like that. And her mom actually tried to get her help, but it didn't really work. You're 19, you think you're bulletproof. Nobody. Yeah, your parents don't know some shit. Yeah. And then she had went missing, and then her sister in August of 2004 just couldn't deal with the fact of her sister missing and not knowing what happened. So she overdosed in a hotel in 2006. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Julie went missing in 2004. 2 years later, her sister couldn't handle it, overdosed in a hotel. So now this mother is missing
2 kids.
2 kids. And,
dude, I don't know how parents survive the death of a child. I just don't.
I don't either, especially when you start getting multiple children.
More than...
Ugh.
I fucking can't with that.
Yeah.
I asked my grandmother because she lost a son. Mm-hmm. He came home. He was living in a camper. Mm-hmm. And went in there and started cooking and fell asleep, and the camper caught fire while he was in there.
Oh, no.
And he perished in that fire.
Yeah.
Ooh, how? And I've asked my grandma, I'm like, how?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. I never asked my grandma, but I could tell. Because my grandma lost my uncle when he was 18. He was driving a semi, and he went to turn around a corner too fast, and it tipped over. And when it rolled, it had killed him. And then after my dad died, my grandma turned into a completely different person, which...
How could you not?
Right.
Because my grandma was you just soldier on. Mm-hmm. You just do.
Yeah, well, you kind of don't have a choice in a lot of cases. But anyways, her mom would actually end up raising both Julie's son and her sister's son. And then 3 years after her sister died is when they find Julie.
Oh.
So she's still getting over the loss of...
just back-to-back fucking loss of children.
Yeah. Luckily, she at least has grandchildren, 1 from each of them, so...
She's got
something. Mm-hmm. That kind of lives on. Veronica Romero, there was not anything really said about her. She went missing around Valentine's of 2004. And the only thing that her family said is that the more that they realized how she died, which is another weird thing because we don't really know how.
The police haven't really released any information that discusses how the victims died, which really, we talked about this. It's fucking mind-boggling. God fucking bananas.
Right.
Because they can unearth 200-year-old, mummified Aztec little girls and be like, oh, she was sedated and then buried alive as a fucking sacrifice. But you can't tell me that...
Yeah, there's just a lot of mystery.
That fucking... Jinkies. Mm-hmm. I feel like we're in an episode of fucking Scooby-Doo.
Right? But her family just said that she was hurt really bad with the events that led up to her death. Mm. Yeah, she was tortured type of thing. And that's all we really have to go off of. And then Evelyn Salazar, she was 23. She was
that
the
was
cousin.
the cousin to the first girl. Okay, Jamie.
Mm-hmm. And she also had a daughter. So most of these women were also mothers, young mothers who were just doing what they had to
take care of babies.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I get it.
Yep. And then our last one is Michelle Valdez, and she was 20. And
Words. Her dad kind of talks about the last time that they spoke. She asked him for a hug.
Yeah.
And like
an important,
give me a good squeeze hug.
Mm-hmm. And he felt like there was something, like she knew there was something going on just with how the hug was, and like the urgency to need one is, he kind of talks about it a little bit. And her father was Dan Valdez, and he became like the spokesperson for all of the victims' family, as they were always fighting to try to
figure out what the fuck happened to their
answers.
Babies. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she would start disappearing just little bits at a time. One, it would be like a day, and then a couple days, and then
a week, and then
a month, and
kind of how it works.
And he would always give her money, like every time she came back. He's like, I knew that she was probably using it for drugs, but I just wanted her to come back for more, to like check in on her type of thing.
Sad.
Yeah.
That's the worst case of enabling, but for like the sweetest reason.
Yeah. Yeah. And she went missing in February of 2005.
Oh,
and she was the second body to be found, and she was the one that was also pregnant. She was 4 months pregnant. Her dad worked so hard to try to find her, and he actually passed away from cancer in 2015. So he never knew who killed his daughter. And that was like...
Nobody fucking does.
Yeah.
Apparently, Jesus.
Yeah.
Dude, I would hate not just for like somebody to show up on my doorstep and be like, yo, we found your kid.
Mm-hmm.
But yo, we found your kid with child.
Pregnant. Yeah.
With child. Yeah. And somebody buried her.
And somebody obviously did horrible things
to her.
Ugh. Just, it's so sad. And like all of these were all beautiful women who were just doing what
and
they
were
had
young.
to.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, as young as 15 years old, where they had, like, these girls had potential.
Oh, yeah.
They had a lot of years to go.
And what's weird is before they found the bodies, actually one of the police wrote up like a missing persons list.
That's right.
Of like 16 sex workers. They had showed it around, and everybody was just kind of like, meh. It's just, in there were like finger quotes. It's just a bunch of missing prostitutes. Who cares?
Who cares?
Because, they move on. They live a dangerous lifestyle. It's nothing that we should really be concerned.
You got a bunch of missing drug-addled hookers.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
And that's the saddest part to me.
Yeah, to me too, because then...
Like, bitch, that's somebody's kid.
Yeah, they're still a fucking person. Ugh.
I don't know how you look somebody in the eye and be like, who cares?
Yeah,
like,
the only time I don't care is if you're a murderer and then you die, and then I'm like, I don't give a shit about you.
Or an animal abuser, because then you could go missing and be eaten by a bear, and I'd be like, yeah, that fucking sucks.
Yeah, but, I also have very...
Did you fucking see that on the news? So, a friend of mine, it was my roommate when I lived in Salt Lake. His friend was run over in an intentional hit and run. His name was Jeremy Hardman, and he confronted somebody for abusing an animal in broad daylight, and the fucking dude ran him over and killed him.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, like 2 fucking days ago in Salt Lake.
Ugh. That's so sad. Buttholes. The world is full of them.
I know.
I don't like it.
You abuse a dog and get called out on your shit, so you run him over?
So now
what the fuck is wrong? Is it?
Now you just jump to murder.
Dude.
Good job.
Have fun at the point of the mountain.
Right?
Motherfucker. Ugh. So they pull out this list.
Mm-hmm. And 9 of the women that were on that 16 named list were found in the body pit. The only 2 that weren't were the 2 15-year-olds. And the one, because she was never known, she never had any sort of record, anything like that. Yeah. And the other girl, because
she didn't have anybody. She
was a traveler.
Yeah. How would anybody know her? How would they?
Exactly. You know what I mean? But it's just staggering when you see that there were 9 out of the 16. And if they would have started looking back then, maybe they could have stopped some of it.
Right.
Yeah.
From them being planted.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
At first they had a list of 24, but then they found that either some of them did move away or they were found safe.
Found later. But didn't they have, like, pictures
of, like, the extra, like, 7 or so that were on the list? And they ended up, now they're taking it seriously. And they're posting up, like, flyers and sending out things of, like, have you seen these women? But what's weird is some of these pictures, don't
they look like
they're
unconscious or like sleeping or
dead even?
Or dead?
Yeah.
Where the fuck would they get those pictures?
They refuse to tell where they got it, which is just weird because you'd think that that would be maybe a potentially important piece of information as to finding who the fuck could be responsible.
Well, it's not like that I could see if like one of them had a mugshot where she like blinked.
Mm-hmm.
But
no, they're like laying down on the floor and shit.
Well, that's not fucking weird at all.
Right? And they say that 2 of the women in the pictures have been found that they are alive and they want those women to step forward because they feel that they have valuable information that comes to the case. But they don't step forward. They haven't contacted police at all, which may be that they're afraid to.
They're hiding out, potentially, trying to stay safe.
Yep. And at this point, they're like, we think we have a serial killer.
No, you don't fucking say.
No.
Oh my God, give this guy a rubber tortilla. Fucking deputy dipshit wins.
God.
We might have a serial killer.
You found 11 fucking bodies. I'm pretty sure you have a serial killer, especially they all look the same.
Right? There's a fucking pattern.
Yeah. Idiot.
I love that because some places they come up with like 3 dead bodies and they're like, fuck me, serial killer.
Right.
This guy has 11 and a quarter.
Yeah.
Technically.
Right. And they're just like, yeah, I think.
Fuck.
I mean, I don't know. But they ended up dubbing whoever is responsible for this. They're known as the West Mesa Bone Collectors. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. It's a good one considering they're...
That sounds like a good name for a heavy metal band.
Mm-hmm. Some sort of garbage metal band.
We're
the Bone Collectors.
West Mesa Bone Collectors. Yeah.
But they actually believe that all of this was linked to the annual fall fair because it attracts a lot of people, including sex workers. But the only thing that's weird to me is when you go back through, a lot of these women went missing February,
Right
March.
around Valentine's Day or...
Yeah, not fall times.
No, but did they...
And they had... A lot of them had records.
But are we sure? Like, because some of these girls went missing for days, weeks, whatever.
Right. I mean, there's always that possibility.
So did they go missing in the fall and it just wasn't, like, reported until later?
I don't know. But it's just weird because they're like, well, it attracts a lot of sex workers at that time. But a lot of these women
it attracts a lot of fat kids. Like me and Spencer go to the fucking fair specifically for fried cheesecake and fucking corn dogs and shit.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Oh, God.
But also, a lot of these women had records right there in West Mesa. So it's not like...
Like arrest records and whatever?
Yeah, about the only one that they could maybe say traveled because of that would be the little 15-year-old that was a traveler. Other than that, everybody else lived there. So I just always thought that was like a weird piece of like thing that they were trying to like toss out, almost like a distraction, like... Oh, let's start looking at these things
like some
over
kind of
here.
false flag.
Mm-hmm. And,
But that kind of ties back into, like, when people are like, well, how did they die? And they're like, we don't know. And then they change their mind and we're like, well, but we can't tell you because it might interfere with the investigation.
Right. And then you have the one victim, Monica, who was saying that it was a dirty cop.
Who was specifically targeting sex workers, beheading them.
And putting them in the West Mesa body pit.
She literally called it the West Mesa body pit.
Yeah, so obviously there was something going on. And whether or not it was actually a dirty cop, whether or not it was one of the other suspects, I mean, there's just so many things. And yeah, the police kept a lot of secrets. They never said how the women were killed. They basically, the most that you could find out is that they were probably strangled.
Like strangled or beheaded?
Yeah. But they say, they can't disclose because they want whoever did it to describe how they were murdered. That way they know it's legit. Okay, I get that. But now they uncovered this in 2009. It's now 2017. Do you think that maybe you should give a little tiny piece of fucking information? It might help open something up because somebody could be like, oh, I had this one friend that was talking all fucking weird about how they killed a bunch of people.
Right.
And they strangled them or chopped off their heads and tossed them in a body pit. Like,
I think it's a cover-up.
Yeah. Well, we will get into that in a minute.
So, but then suspects.
Yes. We have a pretty decent list. I mean, they started out with a list like a mile long.
Right.
But then they started breaking down timelines and different things like that, and it actually excused
some of them.
A lot of people. Yeah, and they're still very quiet on who all is on their suspect list. They only mention a couple of people.
That's what I do. Fucking
why?
That's
quit keeping secrets. Let me know.
See, and I would just walk around West Mesa like I lost my glasses. You know when you take your glasses off and you just walk around all fucking suspicious, like
got those
looking for your shit. Was it you, cabinet? Did you take my glasses? But that's how I would feel, like walking around West Mesa, just fucking.
I'm frustrated as shit.
Everybody.
Yeah, I'm frustrated as shit by this, and I'm not even the family members.
Right.
I can't even put myself in their position on how, like, pissed off they would be. So, Fred Reynolds, one of the suspects, which I think...
I don't know.
He was a pimp, and he knew some of the girls, and he also had photos of all of the missing women.
Okay,
which is weird.
I wonder if he, fucking theory that this guy, a pimp, was trying to, extort these sex workers, and if they didn't comply...
Yeah. Or if he just kept a list, his own special list of women that had gone missing. I mean, I don't know. Is this where the police got the unconscious pictures of the women?
What the fuck was he doing with pictures of unconscious girls?
I am not Fred. I have no fucking idea.
I am not fucking Fred. Fred Reynolds would actually die of natural causes in 2009. So...
And there was nothing else found that could link him to the women. But he's still, on a potential suspect list. But there's nothing else except for he had photos of women. But if he's a pimp, I mean...
He would have to know them, and especially in that line of business.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Then you have Ron Irwin.
Oh, God.
He was an odd man that lived in Missouri.
A photographer.
And he would come out to the fair. So that's where the whole...
little fucking creep.
Fair thing would come in.
I'll bet he had a mustache.
Fucking probably. In August of 2010, the police actually go out there and they confiscate tens of thousands of photos. Pictures. And they go through all of them. Ugh, that would just be so miserable, looking through that many pictures.
It'd be like being stuck at your, distant relative's house where they're like, and this is us at the Grand Canyon, and this is us on the other side of the Grand Canyon. You're like, fuck me.
I don't give a shit.
I just... fucking let me die of a stroke right now.
Now, since this didn't happen until 2010, maybe he got rid of
some of those photos.
Yeah, the important photos, because I'm sure they were probably in their own little file. If this person was...
Well, you wouldn't want them mixed in with your random shots of Ferris fucking wheels.
Right.
Oh, so this was when it was, this the Ferris wheel at night. Oh, don't worry about that. That's a dead person.
Yeah. It's a dead sex worker I was burying out in the West Mesa.
Shit.
Yeah, and...
Why doesn't it have a fucking head, Uncle Ron?
A lot of people say that he's kind of creepy. When I was reading on how people described him, they're like, think of basement comic book store worker type of thing. Just little and weird and whatever. But I mean, that doesn't mean anything. There's lots of serial killers that don't look like they would be capable of fucking overpowering a woman and stabbing.
I always thought he was so handsome.
Ugh, I never found Ted Bundy hot at all.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I thought he just had that weird handsomeness about him.
The eyebrows and the eyes too close together. He reminds me of a fucking Siamese cat. I can't. I'm not. I think I'm one of the only people that
God. But there's been some really, for real though, there have been some, handsome dudes do some buck nutty shit. I don't know. And pretty girls.
Yep. Lots of pretty women end up killing people.
What's the name of that fucking show? Snapped?
Love that show.
But then we have Scott Lee Kimball, and he was a serial killer from Colorado.
Yep.
And this guy would actually be interviewed in 2010, but he straight up denies any kind of involvement. Wasn't me, didn't do it. He admitted to killing dozens of women. But not
Yep, not any of them. And he was doing a lot of his killing the same time these other women were going missing. So I think that was another just like grasping at straws,
digging at something,
throwing shit on the wall and hoping something sticks type of thing.
Is that how they fucking were trying to solve this case?
I guess.
They just put like names on a fucking dartboard.
Yep,
and threw darts and were like, that fucking guy, he did it.
Scott Lee Kimball, even though he was known for murdering and burying people during 2003 and 2004 and 2005, along the same time, like within the same month as like a lot of these women went missing.
Just the wrong area.
Yeah. One's in Colorado, one's in New Mexico.
Interesting.
So, there's that.
And then we have Lorenzo Montoya.
Yeah. He's actually one of the top suspects that is still on
the list.
On their list. But he was killed in December of 2006. But he lived less than 3 miles away from the body pit, and that's where those satellite images of 2006, where it led from his trailer to the pit and back. I mean, and he was known by the cops. It started in 1998 when he picked up an undercover cop posing as a sex worker.
Whoopsie.
And he got in trouble and arrested for that. And that didn't matter. Very next year, 99, is they worked with an informant, and they followed Montoya after he had picked up a separate sex worker. They go down to like this dead end road, kind of like by an airport. They end up coming like up to the vehicle just in time as he's like he's raping and strangling a sex worker at this moment. And luckily they stopped it and saved her life because he only had $2 on him. So he never planned on paying this woman. So there's that. And then in 2004, he was arrested again for picking up a sex worker.
This guy's got fucking problems.
And he was well established for being violent by 2004. His ex-girlfriend actually filed a domestic violence form saying that he constantly beat her, did gross things to her, but she never said what.
Didn't he also like threaten to kill her and fucking bury her in lime?
Yes. Yes.
That's pretty fucking specific. Like, I've said some weird shit to my husband when I tell him I'm gonna kill him.
Right. And this was 2004, so this is like right at the height. That. So maybe if they would have been taking those
I'm gonna kill you, but never have I been like, hey,
I'm gonna put you in some lime.
I'm gonna kill you, and I'm gonna cut you, and I'm gonna bury you in the backyard, and I'm gonna put lime on you.
Yeah.
The fuck, yo?
Right? Yeah. And then...
What is wrong with you?
Well... In December of 2006, what led to his death is he was talking on the internet with a stripper, exotic dancer, whatever, and he's like, hey, can I pay you money? Will you come back to my place, do some private things for me? She ended up agreeing, but she took her boyfriend with her.
Smart girl.
Yep. He just stayed out in the truck. Well, Montoya...
I'm gonna start calling them personal hospitality entertainers.
Perfect. It's way better. Montoya didn't know. Streepers. Which, I think that's great. If I ever had the confidence, I totally would have been a stripper or a sex worker. But I was always fat, and so I lacked any sort of self-confidence growing up.
Dude, I'm uncoordinated as shit. I can do the Cabbage Patch and the Running Man.
Oh, I dance like a middle-aged white man.
I can do the fucking robot like a motherfucker. But, yeah, dude.
I can do like the lawnmower. Anyways, he ended up raping and killing her, unfortunately. She was bound by her ankles.
But then where was the fucking boyfriend?
He was still out in the car. He just...
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Right?
Oh, you fucking came along as security and failed.
Yeah.
Miserably. Shit.
Yeah, she was bound by the ankles and the wrist with duct tape and cord, and she was strangled. And her boyfriend came in at this point to check on her as she's half rolled up in like a blanket, and he's dragging her to his SUV to put her in the back. And so they both pull a gun on each other. Boyfriend has a quicker draw, double tap type of thing. Montoya dies. So...
Fuck nightmare fuel. That would be so awful to know that your girlfriend, who was a personal entertainer, was like, hey,
let's go.
Come with me. So that, trying to be safety poo, and got fucked up while you were in the car chilling.
Yeah, well, she probably gave him like a time frame, like if I'm not back
in X amount of what the what's.
And he probably immediately started in
You know what? I said that to Spencer after I'd had a couple of drinks and I went to the truck to get something and we were at Little America and I had parked in undercover parking, which I was like, hey man, if I'm not back in like 10 minutes, come fucking find me. He's like, God damn it, don't say stuff like that. And I'm like,
I'm such a pussy. I'm like, Quinn, you're coming with me.
It's fucking undercover parking.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, and then of course I was a little tipsy. I was a little tuned. So I walked around the wrong fucking truck trying to unlock it for like 4 or 5 minutes. Spencer finally called me and he was like, I can see you from the balcony. It's the wrong fucking truck. I was like, oh shit.
Oh shit. Oh, goodness. Anyways, the police said that with Montoya, it probably wasn't his first kill just by how
he had already tried to, he was raping and strangling somebody and years before.
Yeah, and trying to kill.
And threatening to bury people and lie. Like,
And the one weird thing is that no more people go missing after he's killed that they know of. There's no more. After 2006, nobody else goes missing. But then we have Joseph Blair.
Blair?
Fucking gonna sound like a creep.
He was the mid-school rapist. This guy.
In the 1980s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was also just another piece of shit.
He, like, raped preteen and early teen girls.
Yeah, like, he would break into their house and, like, rape 13 to 15-year-olds.
Why the fuck does he still exist? Because that's just one of those people that I'm like...
You serve no purpose.
Feed it to the fucking pigs.
Yep.
You don't.
Yeah. Let's fucking starve out some dogs and feed them to the dogs like Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, some shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I want you to hurt. Anyways, and what's sad is... Oh my gosh. Okay. In the 1980s, there was a 13-year-old that was raped. She had the bravery to step forth and submitted a rape kit. They didn't test it until 2010.
What the fuck?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of cases.
Come on, guys.
There's a lot of cases where there are so many rape kits just sitting around that have never been ran. Yeah. Yeah. So it was actually that rape kit that got him put behind bars for being the mid-school rapist. And he was sentenced in 2015. And there was also a time where a sex worker was found on the street. She had been murdered. And another guy went to jail for the death. However, once they did that DNA stuff and they actually had his DNA, they found that the DNA that was on the inside of that sex worker's waistband was his. So the other guy that was in jail got to be released. He was wrongly convicted of a murder.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Luckily he got out, and like a week, I think, after they discovered the body pit.
Oh, didn't his ex-wife, like...
phoned a fucking friend and was like, look into him. Because there's, like, panties that don't belong to us. He's violent. He's weird. There's jewelry that doesn't belong to me or my daughter. Like, go and check it out. And so they go and they take all of the jewelry, but then there's really nothing.
So, but then they collect all this shit that could potentially be evidence and decide to, like, put it with the rest of the untested fucking rape kits?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, there was never anything known if any of that DNA that was on the jewelry or the underwear matched any of them.
Like, the, like, anger sweats.
Yeah, right?
Cunts.
Yeah. It's like, but give us information.
What fresh fuckery is this?
Yeah, dude, like, this whole situation is just... Because to me, I think that if more information was given, it probably could have been solved by now. But no, let's not. But he was also, like, he had 140 run-ins with the cops.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, between 1990 and 2009.
Fucking this guy.
Put him away.
Why?
Put him away. 140 times.
I don't even put him away.
Shoot him.
Smear him in fucking honey and feed him to something large and scary.
Where's that dirty cop? Somebody shoot him. Fucking take care of it. Goodness. And... the cops were actually like, oh yeah, remember that one time, like, way before any of these people got missing, like 6 years before, where he was exposing himself to the sex worker?
Like, running around with his fucking dick out for Harambe?
Yeah. And they found, like, rope and tape and different shit in the front seat of his car.
Oh, just like a murder fucking shopping list? Good.
And so, because with how they mention Montoya's kill with being bound, and specifically where they were bound with rope and different things like that. And them also mentioning with this Blee guy that there was rope and different things like that. I'm going to assume that obviously rope and being bound or something is connected to the murders.
Well, didn't they actually interviewed a sex worker that had been involved with him, and he did tie her up and bind her, but she got away.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think because they're giving out that kind of information, in my little, like, armchair detective brain, I'm like, obviously that's
I want to get you a fucking monocle.
Please do. And one of those hats.
Yes.
Can we be detectives for Halloween?
Oh, we should dress up as serial killers and do like H.H. Holmes and
yeah, do some like fancy
monocles and like
a mustache,
waxed.
I want a majestic one. The bigger, the better.
But it can't be handlebar. It has to be like the twisty.
Yeah. I want
a mustache. If you only had a mustache.
I want to be fancy as fuck. Shit. Anyways.
Give me a pinstripe suit and a monocle. I got fucking detectiving to do.
I got shit to do. They actually followed him, too. And they were like, he was like stalking them. Not like, almost like shopping, like window shopping.
Okay.
They never saw him take a sex worker, but they watched him for a few days. And he was just like creeping around watching all these sex workers. Which kind of fits into the profile of like those psychotic fucking types who plan and shop and do that meticulous weird shit that they do before they fucking bury 11 people. Right. And he was probably having a look to make sure that, you know, it fit his profile, because whoever this is had that very, very specific
makes
profile.
Me super curious about the Edwards girl.
Yeah. I don't know if maybe that was
that just out of frustration because that person couldn't find whatever he was looking for and she was there?
Maybe. Or she walked in on something or that she shouldn't have.
Like totally fucking circumstantial, like being in the wrong place at the wrong time, like that Jamie and her cousin.
Yeah. I don't know. And he also, there was an interview with one of his cellmates, Monroe
Elders?
I think so.
Okay.
And he would say like how
he like talk about West Mesa a lot.
Yeah, and he would say that he was with some of the women, and then he would say that like the other women were like trashy pieces of shit and like just butthole.
So some nasty, hateful.
Yeah. Okay. Like, I got to fuck these women, but these other women I never touched because they're disgusting. They're beneath him type of thing. Like, ew, you ugly piece of shit.
You would be lucky to have anybody fuck with you.
He looks like something that should have been that batch that ended up on his mama's face. Not born. Anyways.
But he also had other, like, shit.
Yeah.
Because he raped that little 13-year-old. He raped that 14-year-old with an object.
Like, with screwdrivers and stuff. Not just himself, but with screwdrivers.
So he raped her vaginally with his
multiple times.
With his own sex organs and then screwdrivers. Okay, you know what? Where are my high fires?
Right?
Because we can just take that screwdriver and kick that into his ear. Fuck that guy.
Right? The same one. But what's weird is like those charges were
the same
dropped.
One. Yes, the same one.
Yeah, the exact same one.
Son of a bitch.
Fucking asshole. Anyways.
So he's facing, like 90 years for all his bullshit?
But what's weird is when they bring up this thing, even though those charges were dropped, and they were very specific about mentioning inanimate objects being used. And then if you tie back to the whole thing of where somebody else was saying, you know, when we found out how
she died, it was really sad because she was hurt really bad.
Yeah. So were these women tortured with objects too?
Fucking sodomized with screwdrivers?
Yeah, I don't know. But he, like, maintains his innocence, and, like, his attorney's like, yeah, he may have some connection. He may have slept with some of these sex workers, but there's nothing else, and they don't have anything else to go on. I don't know if they've tested that DNA with the underwear or anything like that, or they did, and they found it to be not connected, or so many fucking questions. And they were saying that, like, the whole thing is, from 2006 to 2009, he was still out. He wasn't convicted of anything. But from all the missing bodies stopped by 2006.
Like, serial killers don't just stop. Like, they don't get up one day and they're like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to turn over a new leaf and maybe be a fucking scout leader instead of killing people.
Yeah.
That's not how it fucking works. So
Right.
did he die? Did he move? Did he...
Yeah, and they're trying to still
he...
pin it on this Blee guy. But, like, why would he stop between 2006 and until he's convicted?
I don't know, because BTK did for a while, too.
Right. But this person, by the pattern of when women went missing,
right,
it was progressively getting closer and closer together.
Yeah, more and more frequent, yeah.
And so he might be innocent. I mean, there's still all that speculation that they think that there's another body pit, because also in 2006 is when they started clearing out that spot for residential homes. And so if that was the case, that person wouldn't be able to keep burying.
No, he would go, like, that person would go there, see heavy equipment, and be like, fuck this!
Yep. And so maybe whoever did this has a second body pit somewhere. Don't know. Interesting.
But it also could have been the police.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, because there were a lot of, like, scandals that was going on with the specific, like...
A lot of inner working.
Yeah. This police department, local,
had some, like, skeletons in their closet.
Right.
Had some bad things going on.
But we also talked about that rumor of, there's this dirty cop, he's taking sex workers, he's chopping off their heads and throwing them in the West Mesa body pit.
Mm-hmm. There was also accusations about some of the cops that were raping sex workers, allegedly. Finger quotes.
Which, you know what? Nowadays, I'm just not shocked or surprised.
No.
Because there's that little teenager in Oakland just won
$1 million.
$1 million because 30 or so something fucking cops were banging her when she was underage.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to fucking feed and care for herself.
Yeah.
Herself, because there's more than one of her. I don't know, she's got some big upstairs that could be considered multiple hers, but...
Maybe.
She was only a child, and these cops were, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
If they're...
I mean, there's always a dirty cop somewhere, unfortunately.
And they kind of run in packs, so...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and well, not only that, but that whole way of, like, they were just very nonchalant about it, even after they found out that it was a serial killer and stuff like that. But then they're like, oh, well, there hasn't been any other missing people since 2006. These are basically hookers who had it coming. It's almost like word for word what they were saying.
But there were all sorts of, like, scandals. There were, like, other sex scandals. There were shootings, like, what do they call them? Like, unconstitutional shootouts and shit, where they fucking drew a weapon and just decided to, like...
Open fire when they didn't
turn it into the fucking OK Corral.
Yeah. And the whole with how they handle it, where they're keeping valuable information.
Because, you know,
secret.
It's kind of funny, because whenever you see some of this shit on the news, they'll be like, oh, you know what? There was a murder, blah, blah, blah.
These women were found, like, bound, gagged, strangled, something.
They used this specific fucking glue, whatever.
I mean, they could keep, like, one little piece of evidence, maybe they were all beheaded afterwards, but they could say they were bound, they were strangled, they were tortured before they were stabbed. What the fuck happened to them? And they don't say that. They also don't say where they got those pictures of the unconscious women. Like,
that's just really fucking weird to me. I don't like that.
Mm-hmm. And so there's just all these random things. So, I mean, it could be the police. It could be Joseph Blee. It could be Montoya. Lorenzo Montoya. Scott Lee Kimball. I don't think so. Ron Irwin.
I don't know. Maybe he's just an unfortunate weirdo.
Mm-hmm. And then Fred Reynolds, the pimp. But, you know, half of those people are dead. So there's that.
Well, and people are still working, you know, to try and figure this out. Because there's the director lady, Christine Barber. What is it? Street Safe in New Mexico, which is like nonprofit organization that helps ladies
who are street workers, who are, you know...
Right, who are in the streets, who need help.
They're trying to help them to where they have safe places to stay, different things like that. And Andy Jochums, the field geologist with New Mexico, Bureau.
Shut up.
Bureau. The Bureau of Geology and Mineral Resources. And they believe, along with a private investigator that has also been in and out throughout this whole case think that there is that second body pit. And so they've been doing lots of aerial images and different things like that to try to see if there's something else going on. Because if they could find a second body pit, that would reopen and that would give like new life to this case that keeps getting colder and colder. Like they only have one cop on this case.
Don't they have a PI that works on it though? Like a private investigator?
Right.
It's just like his personal
little baby type of thing.
Yeah, where he's just like, I have to fucking know what happened.
And they have found like a mile and a half or so away from the body pit. They found places where there has been changes in the soil.
See, they should be able to do a topography that would like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, none of these people are the cops, and the cops are like, we don't have time or resources, and we don't really want to dig type of thing. They're kind of just keep pushing it on the back burner. They're like, we have more important things than this case. So you have like these two people that are the ones that are finding it. So they're the ones that are like, you know, there's disturbances in the soil which are not normal. They're not anything like that. Obviously, somebody's been digging
something. Yeah. Dude, and I would want to go out there and start kicking fucking stones over just to see. But then if I found something, I would bitch out so hard.
Oh, so fast.
I'd be like,
oh God.
Ah!
Well, then with the private investigator, George Walker is his name. He started in like 2010, different things like that, is when he started receiving like weird cryptic phone calls and emails. And I want to play those clips because they're still to this day, they're like, if you know who this voice is, call us type of thing. Because in 2010, August, Amber Tuccaro went missing around like 7:30, 8:30, somewhere like that. She was heading like towards the airport or something like that. She got in the truck with a mail and she actually called her brother, or her brother had called her. I don't remember. And she just left the phone on. And you hear them conversing and she's like, no, this isn't where we're supposed to be going. We're supposed to be going this way. And he's like, no, this is where this is how we get there. I know type of thing.
Fucking scary.
And that male voice has never been identified and she's never been found since then. It like has a conversation and then it clicks off.
So let's go ahead and listen to those.
Yeah.
Where are we by? We're just heading south of Beaumont, or north of Beaumont. We're heading north of Beaumont. Yo, where are we going? No, this is Are you f***ing kidding me? You better not take me anywhere I don't want to go. I want to go into the city. Jeez. Yo, we're not going into the city, are we? We're going. No, we're not. Then where the f*** are these roads going to? 50th Street. 50th Street. Are you sure? Absolutely. Yo, where are we going? 50th Street. 50th Street. 50th Street. East, right? East. Over. Down.
It's creepy.
You know, how unnerving would it be to have the police release that and you're just like chilling out in the fucking kitchen, maybe whipping up some chicken and dumplings and hear it and be like, fuck.
Like,
that's
your heart hits your butthole and you're like, I know that voice. And I hope somebody knows this voice because... You
know what, though? There's just so many people that don't tattle on their family for all or their people. You know what I mean? It doesn't even have to be your family, but it's fucked up.
Right. Well, and that one voice... So the voice with Amber that you hear is the same one that... Anyways, is the same one that also left the message where that guy kind of sounds a little drunk and he's like, I know... who killed her, and I know why. Okay, bye. Like, it's just...
Ew!
Yeah, it's ew. And I'm actually going to play that clip right now where they did a voice comparison to one of the voicemails that was left, plus that voice clip that we just listened to with Amber Tuccaro. And they sound, like, very, very similar. So, just listen.
You know who I am. We're just heading south of Beaumont, or north of Beaumont. I know, Nina. I know who killed her. Then where the f*** these roads going to? 50th Street. 50th Street. Are you sure? Absolutely. Yo, where are we going? 50th Street. 50th Street. 50th Street. East,
Same. So samesies.
Sound like Franco from whatever the fuck that stupid movie was. Same. God, what was the name of it?
I don't know.
Shit. Anyways.
If you know this movie, please let us know.
I'm gonna have to Google it later. They hate us because they ain't us.
Yeah.
Same. Oh, God. All right.
Yep. Anyway, if you know the voice that we played, so that voice, if you know it, you're supposed to call the 118th Street
Task Force.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
1-877-765-8273.
Or local is actually 505-768-2450.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do Crime Stoppers, too.
Yep. And that's 505-843-STOP. So 7867.
And you can also, if you'd like to go online, you can look up the website helpuscatchakiller.com.
Mm-hmm. And any sort of information, like they're really hoping that they could find that person, the voice that belongs to that person. Because obviously that person was the last person that saw Amber alive. I think it's the same voice that left the other messages, the cryptic emails and phone calls to George Walker, the private investigator.
I don't know. I have a really hard time with them being like, you know this voice? Well, motherfucker, iPhone, find your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do they not, like, did it ping? Somebody was listening. You have a recording of a voice. Ping the fucking phone.
Yeah.
Where?
I have no idea. But the West Mesa case, I mean, it's shocking, but it's really not unique when it comes to women disappearing.
No.
And according to Steve Egger, a teacher in criminology at the University of Texas, and he's worked with FBI, kind of gave, like, some stats on things.
So there was actually a decline in recent decades with, serial killers that were taking women?
Yeah, that target women.
That targeted women.
Yeah, and this was all done in 2011.
Oh, okay.
And they say that 70% of serial killer victims from 1985 to 2011 were women in their 20s to 30s. So over 70% of all kills that have happened the women were victims, which is just sad. So the other 30% is your men, children, different things like that. They also, when it comes to people, like we kind of talked about earlier, sex workers, different things like that, drug addicts, they are people that have that alternate lifestyle. They refer to them as less dead, meaning that they're, that as far as society's concerned...
If you had seen the face that I just made...
It was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I just wrinkled my
face up tighter than a cat's asshole. Less dead?
Yeah. Meaning, like, as far as society is concerned, they're less alive than normal people because they choose to live that alternate lifestyle. They choose to put themselves in a high-risk...
situation.
Mm-hmm. And so it's... because they're marginalized into groups of society. Drug addicts, sex workers.
So people that ride, motorcycles or, do rock crawling in Jeeps, are they also considered, less dead? Because that's a high-risk situation.
Yep. Nope. Just sex workers and drug addicts. And there's that attitude that then permeates in the press and the public that reduces that pressure for them to solve it because,
they're like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's only when you start racking up a bunch of bodies that they're kind of like, oh, well, maybe we should look into it. Which is just, I don't know. In my opinion, I actually think that prostitution should become legal. Because...
Put them in a safer situation, kind of like they do at the Bunny Ranch or whatever, where they're put in a situation where they have to pay taxes. Mm-hmm. They have somewhere to be. Yep. It's a legal situation.
Yep. They're safer. The clients are safer, you know, because there's always testing for different sexually transmitted illnesses, diseases, different things like that. Yeah. And so it keeps... everybody safe. It keeps women also away from having a pimp that takes all their money.
Takes advantage, beats the shit out of them, mistreats them, that kind of thing.
Exactly. I mean, prostitution is never going to go away.
No, it's been around. World's oldest fucking profession. There's two of them. prostitution and bartending, bitch, and they pretty much go hand in hand.
Yeah. So it's never going to go away. So why don't we change a law to make it safer for everybody involved?
Realistically, you would think
you wouldn't have a body pit racking
right?
up.
Well, I just kind of feel like it's one of those dirty little jobs that people don't like to discuss. But at the end of the day, like, the people that are most opposed to legalizing it are the people that fucking participate in it the most.
Exactly. It doesn't make any...
You're like, oh, fucking dirty dick hypocrite.
Right? Fuck. Anyway, so who do you think is... What's your guess?
I am really, really torn because, I froggered.
It's okay.
hurt. It's hard to say because I want to be like, oh, fucking dirty cops. And don't get me wrong, because I fucking back the blue big time. But when somebody says there's a dirty cop beheading sex workers and putting them in the West Mesa body pit, but was she also covering the tracks for somebody else like Lorenzo Montoya? Right. Or do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's my whole thing. And a lot of people are banking on Joseph Blee, but he was more of a serial rapist. Not to say that he couldn't evolve into something else.
But if he was going to kill people, those preteens that he was fucking raping, you kind of think that he would have killed them too. Or did he just graduate?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Did he go from raping and sodomizing to where, like, oh, fuck, I don't want to get caught, so then I'll just kill my victims?
Right. But, like, some of his victims in the mid-school rapist thing, there wasn't that specific profile either.
Right. That's true.
So a lot of people want to bank on him. I think it's because he's alive and they want something.
Like the easy target.
Yeah, I mean, and he's a piece of shit no matter what.
Right.
I mean, he's definitely guilty of a lot of things, but I don't know. In my personal opinion, I don't really point to him. Mine goes to either Lorenzo Montoya or it's a dirty cop. And what would really cement it in is if they ever found that second body pit.
I want to know where the fuck they got those pictures.
Of the unconscious women? Yeah. I do too. That's the only... Okay. That's the reason why I look at the police a lot. Did they get those from... What's the pimp's name? Fred?
Yeah.
I don't know. They don't say. And that's my whole thing. Like, the police look really, really bad in this.
Well, just all of their, like, misdeeds through a specific time period where it feels like there were a lot of folks on the force that were just not, like, sound, solid, decent fucking people.
I just wish that they would give just a little bit more of info.
But I don't know why they haven't, like, now. Are they still protecting somebody? Are they still... Because if they don't have the fucking time and the resources, well then shit, let the armchair sleuths fucking get involved. Like, show some photos. Like, tell some shit.
Tell us where you got them. Tell us how they were killed. Something, anything. I mean, you can still keep some information private to where, you know, the person could be like, yeah, first I raped them, then I sodomized them using whatever after I had bound their hands, you know, and their ankles. And then I strangled them and then I cut off their heads and buried them. Like, they could give you the timeline on series of events that happened, or if there's like a little piece of information, like certain trophy type situation that a lot of serial killers do. But, I mean, give something, or else this case is never going to be solved. And you're leaving victims' families with no answers. You gotta find some fucking rich old coot that's, like, with a lot of dough and a bad ticker and be like, yo. Listen. Help. Yeah. You have so much fucking money that you could be helping us do this. I would. If I had the money, I would too. I don't know. And then there's that whole thing with Unsolved Mysteries that I think, you know, a lot of them go unsolved probably because either the killer moved on and is in a different area, or... Which potentially, because there's a lot
like, if you ever go into, like, a market and on that board where all the kids and all the, like, people are fucking missing, come on.
Yeah, well, even the Long Island serial killer that they have of, like, 3 or 4 sex workers that were found all in the same bank over a certain amount of time that is still unsolved. I mean, so serial killers, if they move, change locations, maybe they died. Maybe it was Lorenzo Montoya.
Maybe.
And he died, and we'll never figure that out. We'll never know.
And that's always like that. I'm sure that we'll hit this one another time. But the fucking Zodiac. Where the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, maybe died of natural causes. I mean,
he got in a fucking car accident. Maybe, but they don't do things like that and then just be like, oh well, that was fun.
Yeah,
think I'll go get a wife and some kids and a fucking dag.
Right. Well, and especially with the Zodiac killer,
like
how he was like taunting the police, and then he just stopped. So did he die?
What happened? Like did maybe he like,
because the next thrill was playing cat and mouse with the cops.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know.
Or did they get pretty close and he was like, ooh shit. Yeah. That was close.
Yeah. Well, then you have the weird guy with the voice that's been taunting this private investigator, saying that he was the one that did it. But he's not, I don't even know.
Was that just like some drunk idiot trying to be?
Yeah, but those two voices sound pretty much like the same person. I mean, I don't know. We need to find that guy.
I need voice analysis software, because I know they fucking make it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you would think that the feds would put more time and effort into it. 11 with a potential second body pit. Why the fuck why aren't the feds involved?
Yeah, you still have those 6 or 7 women that were part of the list of 16 that they still haven't found. And then you have those 2 people that are like, hey, over here, soil's disturbed and maybe we should look into it. You would think. But anyways.
See, and that's why that's where I get back to that, like, dirty cop thing.
That's me too. And maybe the cops are innocent, but they look dirty because they keep fucking brushing shit aside.
They're like, meh, I'm gonna go get this fucking jaywalker over here. You son of a bitch, you get in the goddamn crosswalk. What the Yo, get your detecting shoes on.
Get your shit together.
Poop in a group. Over here. I don't know.
Anyways, so I definitely want to ask everybody else who they think did it. I think maybe we should make a poll. And I'll write down, like, everybody's, all the suspects. And they still apparently have other suspects on their list. They're just keeping it.
Oh, is that all fucking hushy-poo too?
The only ones that they're really mentioning was Fred, Lorenzo, and Joseph.
See, and I feel like when you don't talk about all the suspects, I feel like you're trying to hide something. Like you're being fucking sneaky. Especially where you're like, look at this guy over here.
Yeah. And now they only have one detective that works on this full time. Nobody else works on this case.
Fuck.
So
I think we will do that. We'll make a poll and we'll drop it on Wednesday when we release the episode. Which, by the way, guys, if we failed to mention it, because I don't remember, every Wednesday now.
Yep.
You're only going to get one episode a week on Wednesday.
Yes, but if you are waiting around and you want to listen to something else while you wait for us to put out another episode, if you're into true crime, comedy, different things like that, go and check out Last Podcast on the Left. They're actually hilarious. And then if you want more of a serious type thing, I recommend True Crime All the Time. I love Mike and Gibby. They're hilarious in their own way because they're just so serious.
I know.
And they're so sweet.
Dude, but Mike reminds me of the voice of the radio DJ from Reservoir Dogs. And that was...
Oh my God.
It's like fucking spot on, dude. That's why I like listening to him so much, because it's like, this is sounds of the 70s on Sunday. I'm like, oh my God.
It's that. Yeah, they're super sweet. They're way more classy than we are. They don't
use like as much potty mouthing.
Like little sailors. Let's see. Let me pull up my thing.
By the by, if you're into like art, collectibles, just macabre weird shit, we made friends with Horrid Taste on Instagram, and they've got all sorts of cool shit, serial killers, different like. Just go check it out.
Yep, go check him out. He's funny.
He actually sent us he made us a meme for John George Haig that says John George Hey.
Yes, a meme. I love memes. But also, don't forget, we're still doing our review us, send us a screenshot.
Right.
Are you in for drawing?
And we totally appreciate, like, the Facebook reviews.
We do.
If you guys have, like, go subscribe on iTunes and rate and review there.
And if you don't have iTunes, like, if you're an Android user, do it on, like, Podbean or whatever outlet you have. Just make sure that you send us a screenshot, too, because not all the time do we get the information from the other outlets.
Oh, yeah, like the stats or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Like, we don't get the reviews all the time if you do it through, like, CastBox, Podcast Addict, different things like that. But if you send us a screenshot saying, hey, I did this.
Ta-da! Put my name in the bucket.
Exactly. Because, you're probably going to get stickers, shirt, snacks.
Snacks. So you can snack while you listen.
Exactly.
I don't know. Some of these, I don't think I could, like, snack while I was listening to some of these. I don't know. It depends on if there's Taco Bell and does it have nacho cheese.
Dude, I'm a fat kid and I listen to music and I shovel my face full of shit while I'm researching. So,
dude, I watched you have a baby and went home and had dinner.
Yeah.
Like, I was starving, though.
I was too. Fuck.
I know. I can only imagine how you were fucking feeling. So, but follow us on Instagram at Color Me Dead Podcast and on Twitter at Color Me Dead Pod.
Yep. Or email us. If we posted a thing about domestic violence.
Ooh.
And we were getting some really good stories about a bunch of brave women that step forward with their stories. And I really thank you guys for that. If anybody else wants to share any sort of story that they have, email us at colormedeadpodcast@gmail.com and let us know if you have a story that you want us to talk about. Actually, Hannah Levette, who designed some of the potential logos, she actually told me about a serial killer, and I am super excited for us to do him sometime. And you're looking at me with that look of what the hell, because I've kept it a little secret morsel for myself, but I will tell you about it.
Selfish slut.
I am a selfish whore. I'll tell you about it later, because it's going to be really good. And it's like one of those that she's like, not a lot of people know about it. Not a lot of people talk about it.
It's a she?
Hannah told me.
Oh, I thought it was a she serial killer.
No.
Super pumped about that.
No. But it's kind of like her little hi-fi murder nugget type of thing. It's like her equivalent to it. Anyways, it should be a lot of fun.
But we do want to say to all the people that contributed and talked to us about their personal domestic violence situations and stories.
Mm-hmm.
I do thank you all for sharing.
Yes.
I'm glad that you guys
are safe,
are out,
mm-hmm.
that made it out alive.
Didn't go into chalk lines.
No chalk lines.
No. And also, with our episode 6, how we had said about the ordering the pizza thing, I guess I had found out that that's not like a federally taught thing yet. So some people are like, yeah, don't use that because it's not like
not something that they put into like legitimate training across the board.
Yeah, not yet.
Oh.
So, but I'm sure in a lot of different places, if you were to call and just be like saying something like that, somebody would probably catch on to it.
Hey, I was calling you about the shoes.
Yeah. But it's not something that's taught. Like, there isn't training specifically for that yet, which kind of sucks. Hopefully they come up with something, though.
I would like for them to. It's almost like, well, they started to put something together when I was still bartending,
mm-hmm.
That you could order different kinds of shots.
Mm-hmm.
And they called it an angel shot or an angel drink or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically a way to alert your bartender that your date had gone fucking rogue and you needed to get out.
Oh, okay.
So for whatever reason, and I never had anybody use it, but in today's day and age where you're meeting people on like fucking Tinder or
mm-hmm.
whatever, and you don't know these people and you're meeting them for the first time in public,
right?
You could show up and have somebody, and I had this totally fucking happen
mm-hmm.
where I can't remember what dating app or whatever I'd met this guy on 7 or 8 years ago,
mm-hmm.
and he catfished the fuck out of me because when I got there, it was some Hills Have Eyes shit, and it was not.
Oh no!
And I was like,
"It's not okay."
Exit. Where's the exit? So I went and told the Bart. I was like, "Oh, dude, you know what? I was like, my dog just got diarrhea
I gotta go.
I gotta roll. My roommate needs me.
I gotta leave.
So you never know, like, what kind of person you might be meeting.
Yeah.
They might show up and be like, you a size 14.
Want to help me in my van?
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
So.
But I'm really sad about this body pit. That's a lot of women who are mothers, who are children.
That wasn't mothers. Like, 2 of those were, like, little girls.
Yeah.
For me, 15 years old, that's a little girl.
You're not even able to drive.
No.
You don't even have your first step into, like, responsibility yet.
No.
And to think the one girl was completely alone. And
for years and years, though.
And was just doing what she needed to get by. And some monster took advantage and murdered her. Like, ugh. I remember when I was reading into this, it was one of those things that we always have to do where I stopped.
Oh.
Had my moment.
Your 5-minute funeral for yourself where you just have to, like, walk away.
The rest of the day I had to watch, like, fucking Bill Burr and, like,
Finding Dory and shit.
Yeah.
That's what I had to do.
Yeah, comedic relief.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing, like, with our podcast and stuff, it's really dark before we step to the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
And trying to, like, pull some fucking humor out of these sad things sometimes is kind of difficult.
It's, you know what, and I was actually, for our next episode, I was doing some research, and I was knee-deep in a specific topic that I wanted to discuss, and I went and ugly cried to my husband just about how subhuman people can be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so that's why, like, I'm really glad that we're doing this podcast. I'm really glad that people enjoy us. Right. Because we're opening doors, we're opening eyes. People are getting the same information that we get. But I'm glad that people are like, I'm so glad that you have that little bit of humor to kind of, like, cushion the blow.
Even though it's, like, sometimes it's
just ridiculous bullshit that, like, spills out of our mouth.
That's what I was saying to my friend Mordecai the other day, because he's a wordsmithing son of a bitch. Like, he says some, like, interesting things that I'm like, ew, that's awesome. But I'm not a speaker. I'm a writer, because then I can proofread shit before it goes to the table. Right. Because otherwise, the things that come out of my fucking mouth,
I'm the same way. And sometimes I say shit, and then
we're both staring at each other like,
the fuck did you just say? You crossed some sort of line, I'm sure.
Fucking toe in the sand.
I just got a spike on my fucking radar.
Oh my God, my moral compass just pointed due north.
Yeah.
Fuck, God damn it.
Ah, shit. Shit.
So, thanks for tuning in, guys. This is Angel.
And Ember. If you know that voice, I'm gonna put all that information in the little, like, information part of our episode.
Yeah.
Anyways, stay out of body lines.
Enjoy your summer.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad it's summer. It's warming up, even though the sun fucking hates me and I can't go outside anyways. I like the nighttime.
Nightbreed. Mm-hmm. Come on. Ta-da. And monsters live in Nidian.
Yeah.
And if anybody can actually, like, tell me what that quote's from, I'll give you $1.
I'll give you $1.
But only one, because I'm a broke bitch.
I'll send you $1 with a sticker.
With a sticker. For my listeners. Stay out of chalk lines.
Yes. All right. Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.